Alright, the other day, I watched the 2017 Power Rangers. It's one of those movies that a lot of people don't like, but me personally, I think it's cool. So as always, I'm making a video on it. The movie opens up with the Red Ranger down for the count. The Earth is looking toasted, and the Red Ranger crawls over to the Yellow Ranger and she hands him her coin before she croaks. The Red Ranger then digs up a hole and places all 5 coins into the dirt and tells them to find only those who are worthy. The Green Ranger Rita then pulls up, and before she can take out Zordon, who is the Red Ranger, they're all taken out by a meteor and Rita is thrown into the ocean. We then cut to our main character Jason and his buddy trying to get a cow into the locker room. And Jason's like, this cow's pretty unhappy. And his buddy says, well, it shouldn't be because I just milked her. It was a male cow. The dude just cranked its hog. The one time then pulls up, so they get out of there and Jason flees in his truck with the cops right on his tail. He actually almost escaped, but a van backs out in front of him and so he flips the car about a dozen times. We then jump to 3 weeks later. Jason has an ankle monitor now, and his dad brings him to Saturday school and lectures him about how he had good things going for him and threw it out the window. Our boy Jason here was apparently a really good quarterback and probably had the chance to play D1, but decided to be a dumbass. So now he has to go to Saturday school every day just to graduate. He walks into class, and the classic high school bully that's really only in movies bumps into this kid named Billy. The bully snaps one of Billy's pencils, but before he can snap another one, Jason breaks it up, and then he pimp slaps the guy. Then this girl, Kimberly, gets a text to meet in the bathroom, so she books it over there and we meet these 2 chicks who are the popular high school mean girls. There's a lot of basic high school tropes in this film, so get used to it. This chick Amanda says, you shouldn't have sent that picture of me to Ty, and then they tell her she's out, and then literally take out a picture and cut her out of it.
Are you serious?
What kind of shit is this? We then cut to Kimberly walking back into class with short hair after she cut it in the mirror because that's what everyone does when they're sad. After class, Billy asks Jason to hang out, but Jason says he can't because of his ankle monitor. He has to be home before 7. But Billy says he can fix that, and he has a car that Jason can use for a few hours if he comes. Jason gets home, ponders it, and then starts hauling ass over to Billy's place on his bike. He gets there, and Billy deals with the ankle monitor situation, and then they head over to the mines. Jason helps Billy with some gear, but then he's like, F this, and then dips out. Also in the mines is this guy named Zach, who's creeping on a girl named Trini, who is hitting a pose on top of a rock while listening to music. But before actually leaving the mines, Jason hears a noise, so he goes to check it out and finds Kimberly diving in the water. That water's definitely disgusting. He doesn't see her come up though, so he runs over, and right before he jumps in, she's like, yo, chill out. They talk for a little while about life and stuff, and while this happens, Billy's rigging up some explosives. He blows it, which sends him flying, and Jason and Kimberly run to help him, along with Zach and the Trini girl. But things get worse when the wall crashes down, but everybody's okay. And after the smoke clears, they find glowing rocks inside a weird glass wall. Zach breaks it open, and they all find multiple different colored coins. But the mine's alarms are set off, so they all split up. Jason busts a Yui, and they pull up on the girls to pick them up. They then flee the scene, and Zach jumps on the roof to get in. Now, they just had to beat a train to get free. But this isn't the Fast and the Furious. They smack the train, and the car gets absolutely smashed. Yeah, they're definitely dead. But the next morning, they all wake up in their own beds, completely unharmed and with their coins. They also have new abilities. Besides them obviously having enhanced their abilities since they survived the train crash, they also have super strength. Billy rips a door off, Jason smashes the sink, Kimberly smashes her phone, and at school, the bully tries to snap Billy's wrist, which doesn't work, and knocks himself out when he tries to headbutt him. Something's definitely going on. They all meet up in the cafeteria and talk about how they're all different now, and so they agree to go back to the mine to figure out what happened to them. We then cut to an officer checking out a boat because the night before, some fishermen found a body in the water. But while checking it out, the body starts glowing green and it comes to life. The friends make it back to the mine and find Zach. They also find Trini, who takes off up the mountain like that grandma from Legion. Let me know if I should cover that movie. It's pretty good. The others run after Trini and they get to a cutoff on the cliff, but Trini jumps to the other side. So I guess it's time to nut up or shut up, so Zach and the others jump to the other side as well. But it gets to Billy, and after getting some help he makes it up, and then he falls off the cliff. He's cooked, but they hear his voice at the bottom, so they decide to all jump down with him. They end up in this little cave with water, and they notice they're all glowing the same color as their coins in the water. But Billy notices something strange, so he tells everyone to follow him. They get to the bottom and find there's a weird wall of water leading to a cave. And when they poke their heads through, they end up falling to the floor, and Zach lands with Becky G on top of him.
It should have been me, not him!
They look around and find a massive alien spaceship. The door opens up and they decide to go in. They hear a noise, so they all hide, but something grabs Trini and pulls her away. But they find out it's just a little robot dude named Alpha 5, and he tells the gang that he's been waiting over 65 million years for this. They're told to step on the circles so they can morph, and they do so. This causes the ship to shake and a face comes out of the walls. Turns out, this face is actually Zordon, who is the Red Ranger we saw at the beginning of the film. They try to dip out, but the door shuts, so they come back and decide to meet Zordon. Zordon tells them that they're the Power Rangers. He also tells them about the Zeo crystal, which is buried inside the earth. He explains that his team died defending that crystal, and now it's their turn. He then lifts them up and shows them a vision of what will happen if they don't dial in and protect the crystal. Everyone's cooked if Rita gets the crystal, pretty much, so no biggie. They can just train, get ready, come up with a plan. They have 11 days. I'm not kidding.
I'm sorry, days. 11 days.
I was thinking though, like, what if they didn't find the crystal in the next 11 days? Is Earth just cooked? I don't know. Anyways, this is too much for them, so they all leave, but Jason stays behind and is told he's the leader and he needs to get the team ready. Jason then leaves, and the team discuss what they should do, and Jason tells them he's going to be here tomorrow at 4, so be there, be square. We then cut to Rita looking like a wrong-turn cannibal eating gold, and when a dude with gold teeth pulls up, she packs him up. The next day, the gang all meet up at the spot and attempt to morph to get their suits. It doesn't work. Guess they're training without armor. They get to the pit and begin their training, but I'm sorry, not one person on Earth is going to become a pro at any form of martial arts in 10 days, but whatever. Days 1 and 3, they all suck and get smacked around by the rock dudes, but day 4, they learn a little Greco-Roman and learn how to take the back and suplex, as well as learn a little more striking. The next day, they try to morph again, but again, they fail and do more training. Later that day, Billy pinpoints the exact location of the crystal and finds it's right under a Krispy Kreme. Be ready, there's a lot of Krispy Kreme stuff in this movie. The next day, Alpha 5 shows them their Zords, which are basically giant robotic dinosaurs, but he tells them that they're not ready for them yet.
Why the f would you show me something if I couldn't have it then?
Zach's not about to walk away from a giant robot dinosaur though, so he takes it for a spin. He jumps out of the cave, nearly destroys a van, and eventually crashes back into the cave and nearly takes everyone out.
Alright, my bad. That's on me right there.
Jason's like, yo, you could have just killed everyone, so he hits him with a nice juicer to the lips and they start scrapping. But Billy eventually breaks it up and somehow morphs into his blue suit, which looks badass. But after Zach touches it, it goes away and Billy can't bring it back. After the team leaves, Jason overhears Zordon talking about how they need to morph so they can get him out of this wall. And so they argue for a minute because Jason thinks this is all for nothing. But then we cut to Rita at a jewelry store looking for gold. That's disgusting. She then starts digging in this lady's mouth looking for gold, and this lady just allows it. What's her number? I need that. She takes her chain and upgrades her staff with it, but a cop shows up and wastes no time blasting her ass. But it doesn't do the trick. She gets back up and starts bringing her rock dudes to life, and they take out the cop. Back at the mountain, the gang decides to stay and have a fire, and they talk about why they can't morph. They think it's because they don't know each other, so they decide to take turns telling everyone about themselves. Zach tells everyone a little about himself and how his mom is sick and not doing well. Billy says he likes country music.
I like country music.
Kimberly pleads the fifth. Trini has a tough home life, and Jason says everybody already knows everything about him. We cut to later that night, and while Trini is sleeping, Rita pays her a visit. She throws her around a little and then asks where the crystal is, but Trini doesn't know where it's at. Rita tells her the whole town is getting destroyed at 12, but if Trini gives up the crystal, she'll spare her life. We then cut to Kimberly on some freak shit, covering Jason's mouth. She tells him that she thinks the reason they can't morph is because she hasn't been totally honest. Apparently Amanda, who we saw in the bathroom earlier, had sent Kimberly a pic of her in her full birthday suit or something like that. They don't actually show us the pic, but she must have been cheeked up on camera. And I guess Kimberly sent that picture to the girl's boyfriend, and it must have gotten out because the principal had to show Amanda's father the pic of her all cheeked up, which is diabolical.
I had to sit in Mr. Detmer's office with Amanda's father and watch as they showed him that photo of his daughter.
The math doesn't really make sense for the whole situation, but I'm just gonna ignore that. Jason gives her the "you're not a bad person, babe" speech, and then Kimberly gets a text from Trini. They all meet up at a football field, and Trini gives them the scoop on what just happened. Jason's like, "F that, we're a team, and we're gonna fight." And so they kind of just Leroy Jenkins this thing and pull up for a fight without a plan, and then Rita drops down on them and then proceeds to absolutely spank them with ease and then tie them up to the side of a boat. Rita wants to know where the crystal is and somehow sniffs it out that Billy knows where it's at. And after nearly killing Zach, Billy coughs it up.
It's a Krispy Kreme.
But before leaving, she drops Billy into the water while he's still tied up, and no lie, he was underwater for maybe 15 to 30 seconds at most before he gets pulled up, and he's somehow dead.
He's dead.
I mean, maybe at least one of them could at least try some CPR. Also, earlier in the film when they were in that cave and found that water wall, he was underwater for a fat minute, so him getting packed up so quick right here doesn't really make much sense, but whatever. Anyways, all 4 of them carry his body back to the cave, even though they all have super strength, and one person could probably carry him one-handed, but whatever. They get into the ship and ask Zordon for help, but Zordon says there's nothing he can do. There's then a very sad scene where they all talk about how they trade their lives for Billy and how they're ready to fight and stop Rita. This apparently opens up the morphing grid and Zordon has his chance to come back to life, but he instead brings back Billy.
Did I die?
Yes. No.
Alright, now it's time to dial in.
It's morphin' time!
They step on the plates and finally begin to morph into their suits, and it's actually a pretty cool scene, but unfortunately, it took a fucking hour and a half for this to happen. They don't suit up until there's like 30 minutes left in this movie, which to be honest kind of ruins the movie. But these next 30 minutes are peak. The rock dudes start forming and start coming after them, so they jump through the water and start beating ass in the water. They then fly out of the water, hit the Power Ranger landing, and start scrapping. I don't know when they became experts in Taekwondo and multiple martial arts, but they're doing their thing. They beat up on these rock dudes for a while, but there's too many of them, so Zack jumps back into the cave and comes back up with his Zord to deal with them. And while this happens, Rita builds Goldar, which is a giant gold dude. The team sees this though, so they grab their Zords and head on over. The suits look sick, by the way. I thought they looked dope as f***. It's really unfortunate we don't get to see them much. They pull up to the scene and get to action. Kimberly's spraying from above. Jason throws a car and then starts tearing him up, but Rita finds the Krispy Kreme and also takes a minute to eat a donut. But before she can get the crystal, the gang pulls up to Goldar and jump on him and try to stop him. And while this happens, Jason's dad gets caught up in the mix and crashes his truck. Jason sees this, so he runs over, beats up on 2 rock dudes in the process, gets to his dad, pulls him out of the truck, and then brings him to safety. Kimberly swoops in and picks up Billy and then drops him onto Goldar, which sends both Goldar and Rita flying, which also takes out the rock dudes. And it's looking like they won. But Goldar gets back up and heals Rita. Goldar then starts digging for the crystal, so the team tries to hold the line and stop them, but after a minute, they're not looking too good. And they all get pushed into the hole and it looks like it's over. But boom, they come back as a massive Megazord, and we've got ourselves a Pacific Rim type of fight now. They figure out how to control the Megazord and then start landing juicers on Goldar. They teep kick him and then dodge the sword swing, take his back, and suplex him into next week. They then bust out a couple swords of their own and finish him off. Rita's still alive though, and she tries jumping at them as if that'll do anything. And so they backhand her and send her all the way to space, where she freezes and presumably gets packed up. And the day is saved. They boogie down in the Megazord for a little bit, and that's that. But yeah, that was the Power Rangers. She wasn't perfect, like, at all. The Power Rangers definitely works better as a series, and I think that was half the problem with this film, but I do enjoy it every once in a while. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Also, let me know what videos you guys want to see next. But that's all I've got for you guys today, so I'll see you in the next one.